Hello there. This is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another car video. A key factor in why game is more natural with lower classes. Yeah, so I did a video the other day talking about that, and as I've been saying, I'm gonna get more into the class structure and everything because they have a profound impact on relationships. Now, I said the other day, I was relating how I went to, I'll say, lower class mall in the Baltimore area and was just peeping how natural game was flowing, social factor, social skills and all of that. Now, there's a key reason why that's the case. I'm about to go deep. I'm going to give y'all car ROM combined with Professor ROM now. Y'all know, usually do Professor ROM in front of my bookcase, but I haven't given y'all that in a while. And I don't feel like setting it up. It's easier just to drive. So, check it out. One of the things in how humans, regardless of where they are, upper class, lower class, whatever religion, humans have expressed their sexual nature in two general ways, very general ways. In fact, it's hard for the metaphysicians out there. You could call it yin and yang, or masculine and feminine, but we'll call it my mentor on the more deeper side of sexuality, Master Yao and Yamache Morris. He had coined some terms for this, the sensual Bohemians and the reverent intelligentsians. Now, the thing with it is their expression. Basically, just to break it down, make it more simple, peoples whose sexual nature leads towards the Bohemian side are more carnal in how they express themselves, more carnal. They the ones definitely into the physicality of someone. They definitely into how someone looks, how they make them feel, how they dress, all the outside stuff. That's the more pure lust of sexual expression. And everybody understands that part. But then you have the other side, the reverent intelligentsian. People on that level, their sexual, when they connect with somebody, is more mental in nature. They connect basically more based on social factors, having similar values and everything. I'll use that show Sex Life. That's a great example. The character Cooper was more intelligentsia. His sexual nature didn't flow out, whereas the character Brad was more bohemian. His was fairly out of control. And see, everyone has that. Everyone has that. They one or the other. A few rare people have a perfect balance between the two because we have them both within us. It's just the degree that we express it. That's the key thing. Just the degree which we express it. So, and one of the things in studying that phenomenon, which another writer, I've only seen one other writer really talk about it, and this was years ago. I can't remember the name, but they used the term Puritan and hedonist. Puritan and hedonist. Like, give a good example. Like the Puritan intelligence, and they're more likely to go to church all the time. They're more likely to be they're more likely to wear clothes that don't show off their body shape. Whereas the bohemian, they're more likely to be in the club partying. And they're more likely to wear clothing that shows off their body. And one thing about the intelligence and bohemian thing, it really has nothing, let me say this again, how someone genetically looks. It has nothing to do with it. You have some intelligentsians types who are, had a physical features, what people consider attractive and everything, but their sex drive is still suppressed. Whereas you have some bohemians who might come off as more average looking according to what people think of as attractive, but their sex drive is out of control. So that's a very important thing. So it's more of a mindset. It's in the spirit, and most people it's subconscious. Like if you point this out, someone probably wouldn't realize it. You know, they probably wouldn't see it. Like an extreme bohemian might be, could be a professional. Like I actually knew this lady way back in the day who was an attorney, but she came to court dressed like a prostitute. Hope she don't see this. And then I've known some women who might have come off as intelligentsian, but you know, you find out they got like some, you know, some thongs on and some lace bra, and they do some nasty stuff. But, and you know, that's why sometimes you really, to see it, you really have to get to know the person. Now, what does all that have to do with the classes? Now, one of the things I've found in studying this for over 20 years, there's a tendency for each social class to go in a particular direction. And now this is where it's interesting. The middle class tends to lean more intelligentsia overall. The middle class and parts of the working class leans more intelligentsia. You know, they have some breaks on their sexual expression. And that's deep enough. I need to do a, wait a minute, y'all. All right. That's deep enough. I need to do an on-demand video on it. But, okay, come on now, come on. You know, they tend to have theirs more under control. Yeah, they'll have enough of the bohemian side because, like I said, everybody has both, but it depends. Like, somebody might be 70% bohemian, 30% intelligentsia, or 70% intelligentsia, 30% bohemian. But as a group, let me emphasize that, as a group, people who are more middle class, some parts of the working class, even some parts of the upper class, have a tendency to be intelligentsia and lean more that way. There's more breaks on their sexual expression. But then when you look at two groups as far as Bohemians tend to be poor, especially the more poor they are, the more dysfunctional environment that they're in. They tend to be bohemian, and also the very rich tend to be bohemian. And one of the reasons that is, okay, with the very poor, they tend to be bohemian because they're in that position because a lot of times just lack of discipline. You know, they just do what they feel like as a group. Yeah, you can find an intelligence in it. Like I said, this is all general, and there's always a lot of nuances, but in general, they tend to be buck wild. They tend to smoke, drink, whatever, party, dance, all that stuff. They tend to be more loose. There's not as many controls. Might not be as big as going to a church or something, which incidentally, if you look at the church going population, it tends to be strongly middle class or even working class. The very poor, man, they too busy smoking a contraband substance that they got from an independent merchant in a fresh air environment. So anyway, so they tend to be more looser, more out of control. Now, I'm gonna get back to that in a second. When you look at the very upper class, like elite class, theirs tend to be more out of control, a little bit more control, but or even slightly closer to balance, but a slight lean to like doing whatever they feel like. There's nothing to hold them back. Nothing. They can travel where they want, and a lot of them feel like they own the world. Anybody who's dealt with the scion or children of elite families realize they just move like they run the world. When you have that mindset, you don't tend to let anything hold you back. Now, of course, they tend to be more, they'll have more intelligentsia in them than the very poor, but they still have that bohemian side. You know, nothing's holding them back. They don't have to hold back. They can buy what they want to buy and everything. So, especially the children, those children born into those families, you know, all they have to do is behave enough not to embarrass their parents. But anybody who's dealt with them know, especially in some shadow world circumstances, know they crazy as shit. They can get off. But that's a whole other conversation. So let's turn this back to the poor and lower classes. They have that sexual nature where it says they want to express it. when you have that sexual nature, when you saying you got that lust, you're not holding back, you're going to figure out a way to express it. You're going to figure out a way to express it. Like, and people who saw my Instagram video not Instagram, Patreon video today, that I was driving and I saw an acquaintance, a Hispanic acquaintance, and they even saw me like saying hi, and if they listened closely, they might have heard her responding back. She had a friend with her though, and I guess another worker where I live, who she had a fat ass, and I was like, I said it, I ain't say it loud so she could hear, but I was like, God dang. Now, think about it. I felt that was the energy right there. That energy was like lust. It's like, oh shoot, you know. Now in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta get to know her, right? So if someone has that energy, they got that lust going, they're gonna figure out a way to, one, they ain't gonna have any fear approaching somebody. That lust is taking over. Anybody who's really felt, any man who's felt that lust, or and Master Teacher BGS has talked about this, the thunderbolt. You don't give a shit. You ain't having no shit. You ain't having no approach anxiety. You see that body, when you let that energy flow, your joint hard, you are not going to stop. You're going to be like, oh no, I'm going to go talk to her. You don't give a shit about rejection. You rather just go up and be rejected. At least say, okay, at least I shot my shot. Now, you start having, especially as a teenager. Because that's one thing I always said. Even before I got in the body game, I had zero approach anxiety. That's because I let the lust carry me. I saw that fat old butt. I always say breastises, but that's for jokes. I really like that fat round butt. So when I see that, I'm like, bam, I'm over there. I'm jumping right in. Zero hesitation. Now, you want to get at that woman, you start figuring out, okay, you got that lust, you want to express that lust, you want to bend that woman over and stuff, you want to take her and like slam her against the wall and go da-da-da-da-da. You trying to, subconsciously, you want to start figuring out ways to do it. Okay, I already talked about the approach thing, but then you want to start thinking, okay, what can I do? And anybody who's grew up in certain areas know there's always some woman who I'll say is accommodating. Some young girls accommodating, especially you young or something. Shoot, they be the ones who are aggressive. Shoot, some of those women, they the ones say, hey, they pulling you to like behind a building or something. Or say, my parents ain't home. You know how that gets. But then once you do that, once you get that conquest, once you subconsciously satisfy that lust, that sexual desire, subconsciously you start developing ways that comes into your consciousness of satisfying that lust. So the approach thing is one thing, but then you say, well, wait a minute. Now think about it. If you sit down and think about it, I say, okay, women respond to me better when I'm wearing clothes like this drip. Or they respond to me better when they see parts of my body. Or they respond to me better when I cut my hair. What they've done in some lower classes, especially, is figure out, okay, what I can do to win. So the approach thing, boom. The bait, you figure, okay, you already know if you dress a certain way, you walk in a certain way, carrying yourself a certain way, you're going to get a response. Boom. You figure that out. I mean, the main thing is just the social skills. You get that lust, trust me. You feel that lust or something, you get over shyness. Shit, you change up. You feel that thunderbolt. For the fellas out there, you ever see that woman, she get that body so much you actually feel a jolt? Shit. You ain't holding it back. You ain't repressing it. Okay, so you feel that energy, you just say, okay, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to do my thing. You know, and when you get, and especially is powerful in the lower classes. In upper class too, I'm going to get into that. It's powerful, that bohemian nature is powerful in the lower classes because, quite frankly, they might be just getting just enough money to like sleep someplace. Their parents getting maybe a government transfer or some low level job, so they can't come with the money. Shoot, even with their clothes, you never know where they actually got them. we're gonna get into some of those shoplifting rings that like will steal like some of those Lacoste that I'll be wearing, sell them in the hood. But they'll figure out, you know. So it's like, it's not so much the money thing, you know, and the status thing. What kind of status you got? And even the looks thing, like I said, that bohemian nature. Like if you look good, if you're physically attractive and have that bohemian nature, oh shoot, that's a power right there. But let's be real, the majority of people out here are average looking. But what somebody will do, they got it. They say, okay, let me fix myself up. You know, let me make sure my haircut on point. You know, let me make sure I'm smelling good. You figure out, okay, what works. See, one thing, the Bohemians, they more physical, so they're going to work on all of that. So they already physical, already got natural social skills, because like I said in the video when I first talked about it, you got to have social skills in the hood. You got to. That's a survival mechanism. You got to have social skills, and you got to be able to read people like a motherfucker. You got to be able to read them. So you got all of that stuff. And even in the upper classes, believe it or not, in the elites, the money ain't so much a factor. Believe it or not. Reason why a young man meets a woman and he don't need to impress her with his money. She got her own. She a trust fund baby too. They both got money, so that's neutralized right there. So they got to deal with each other on a certain level, and one of the levels that they mainly deal with each other on is just being in a similar background. But it's take the money out, and the status, that don't impress the woman. She got the status too. Shoot, she might have a higher status. So they interacting with each other just because of similar values, similar backgrounds, and everything. You know, like I said, there's a stronger intelligentsia piece with the upper classes, but they'll have the bohemian side because there's nothing to really limit what they do. So, but as far as the lower class, yeah, that subconscious thing, that's a powerful thing. Nobody really talks about it. Like I said, Master Yao's talked about it. I seen one other place where they talked about Puritan and hedonist. And if you pay attention to people, you can see it. Like one of the things I've talked about several times is how you wearing your clothes. Do you wear your clothes as a magnet or a shield? That's actually one of the best ways, just on a glance, to tell which side someone's on. Like if you get somebody who, like fellas, you see a woman and she wearing that outfit that's showing her body, making sure tight, everything hugging and everything, tend to be bohemian. But if you see that woman who is wearing just some loose clothing, you can't really get a good idea about her body, or plain intelligentsia. And like I said, that's general. Depending on the circumstance, somebody could be faking. But yeah, it gets that deep. Because anybody who know me know I can go tantrum. I can go deep. I'll just give y'all publicly just the general stuff. I get deeper on my Patreon. I get deeper on my Connect Pile. I get deeper in my on Rom TV. I get deeper on my pay on demand videos. But even then, y'all don't know what I don't share unless I'm in your presence. So it's a lot deeper. But the key factor is just the sexual energy itself and how it's expressed. All right. Because when you got that lust, when you got that energy, it's flowing, you're going to figure out a way to satisfy it. You'll develop your own game. And indeed, if I'll give this clue. When I talk about body game, it's deeper. Body game is deeper than just the aesthetics. For the metaphysicians, I'll just say 2 words. And if you know exactly what I'm talking about in the comment section, just put 1. The 2 words, root chakra. All right, y'all. Anyway, I'm out. Oh, man. Gotta go get my videos. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all. I might not do a video tomorrow morning. I gotta take my sons for a doctor visit. Sons and co-parent for some out to the doctors and stuff. So it is what it is. Family's my main thing. All right. Indeed, the money I make from this video is going in their stomachs. They growing. Anyway, y'all, I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.